public hearing to order at this time. Our first item under public hearing is a public hearing for ordinance number 2023-26. Mr. Stokes.
Yes, sir. Ordinance number 2023-26, amended August 28, 2023. It is hereby ordained by the governing authority of the city of Fort Oglethorpe an ordinance to amend the code of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, Chapter 6, Alcohol, Article 2, Division 6, Package Sales of Distilled Alcoholic Beverages by adding a definition for construction in Section 6.135 and by providing a procedure for a hearing in the revocation of applicants' applications under Section 6.143 to regulate the grant, refusal, suspension, or revocations of applications to sell or dispense packaged distilled alcoholic beverages in the city of Fort Oglethorpe, to provide for the provisions therein as authorized by state law, to provide for modification, to provide for severability, to repeal conflicting ordinances or parts thereof, to provide for an adoption effective date, and for all other purposes allowed by law. Said ordinance being amended on the 28th day of August. Section 1.43 amendment: if the applicant fails to obtain an occupancy permit for the premises so constructed within 12 months of the date of approval of the application to sell distilled packaged spirits at retail in the city, the mayor council shall conduct a hearing on the record upon the issue of whether to revoke the application for failure to make significant progress towards obtaining a certificate of occupancy for the premises. Applications previously approved by the mayor and council on July 11, 2022 shall be required to show cause at a hearing before the mayor and council, while their application should not be revoked for failure to make significant progress towards obtaining a certificate of occupancy for the premises before revoking those applications. Is there anyone here that would like to speak either in favor of this ordinance as amended on August 28, 2023?
Did you say for?
For or against?
Yes.
All right. Go ahead. If you
Go here.
If you would, state your full name.
Sure. Good afternoon. I'm Larry Cash. I'm an attorney at Miller & Martin in the Chattanooga office, and with me today is Saran Patel. Mr. Patel was an applicant for the liquor license and was not chosen in the lottery. Our concern is as follows. The ordinance as amended will have the effect of taking what is a rejected license and extending it. So retroactively, what this ordinance does is it enhances the opportunity for those who were granted a license but whose license has been rejected, and it impairs the possibility of those who didn't win in the lottery to participate from this point forward. I would say to you that under the procedures set forth in 6-143, an application may be approved, and then you have to go through and get an occupancy permit. You cannot begin business until you have an occupancy permit, and the ordinance provides as follows. If applicant fails to obtain occupancy permit within 12 months of the date of approval of the application, the applicant shall forfeit the application and shall, by virtue of his failure to obtain an occupancy permit, be rejected without the necessity of further action by the mayor or council. In other words, prior to the amendment, if the construction wasn't completed in 12 months, the application was automatically rejected. So each of the current applications by law, by the ordinance as it existed, have now been rejected. So with the amendment, what is being proposed is you're taking those rejected applications and allowing them additional 6 months. It is retroactively authorizing rejected applications to move forward. And under the terms of the ordinance, we don't believe that is permissible. There are some other issues that relate specifically to some of the other applicants, and I'm not sure, Mr. Mayor, if it's appropriate to address those or not. But for my own education, if I could, let me ask this. When an applicant files his or her application for a liquor license, are they required to disclose the property upon which the liquor license or the liquor store is to be built? Are they required to disclose in the application the property upon which the liquor store or the liquor license will be issued?
I can answer that.
Sure.
Yes. Plus, they can have many properties, possibilities.
Right. And what happens if an applicant submits an application on a piece of property that applicant does not own?
They can do that.
They can do that
Yes, sir.
if they have other properties?
I don't understand what you mean by other properties.
Okay. If I don't have a piece of property in the city of Fort Oglethorpe, but I hope to get one, all right? Can I apply for a liquor license without disclosing the property upon which I plan to build my liquor store?
No, sir, you have to disclose the potential properties that you may own or lease, for that matter.
Okay, right. All right.
So the follow-up would be, are they required to stick with that same property?
Yes, they are required to stick with one of those properties.
Okay. And this is, as I mentioned, Saran Patel, who, as I said, was an applicant, passed all the tests, did everything he could have done, and was approved to go into the lottery. He was just not one of those three selected in the lottery. And it's our belief that moving forward with this amendment impairs the rights of the Mr. Patels, and there are others, impairs the rights of Mr. Patel to move forward with hopefully a liquor store in his name. Now,
Mr.
Patel-
Cash, let me ask you this.
Sure.
Would you admit that there have been significant supply chain issues with respect to construction in the past year?
I don't know in the past year. I know those were problems in 2020, but I don't think that's relevant to amending the ordinance.
You don't think this council being fair to the applicants who have invested money and time and effort instead of an automatic suspension is fair?
Mr. Stoltz, I'm going by the language of the ordinance.
Yes, sir.
The ordinance does not say within 12 months or such time as may be extended by the council. The ordinance says 12 months. That 12 months has run, and those applications, by the language of the ordinance, says that application is rejected.
Do you not think that the death of an owner of property where the property was tied up in an estate where it could not be purchased was in some way the fault of the applicant?
If the ordinance said applicants may, upon good cause, show why they couldn't complete the 12 months, if that's what the original ordinance said, when these three people were approved, when these three names were chosen from the lottery, it probably would be fair.
But the fact of the
that's
matter
not what-
is, that's the way the council is in fact amending this ordinance now, isn't it?
Yes, and prospectively, if you follow the ordinance as it now exists, those three applicants have rejected applications. Prospectively, you're exactly right, Mr. Stoltz. If the council amends the ordinance, prospectively, the next three in line could apply and could ask for an extension. But that's for those that qualify after the amendment is passed, not for those who qualified under the original terms of the ordinance.
Well, our ordinance amends it to where these applicants of July 11th get a hearing to determine whether in fact they are in fact making good progress.
Well, we can argue the semantics.
Yes, sir, we can argue the semantics.
What it does is it reinstates rejected licenses and then gives them an opportunity.
There is no license been issued
I mean,
yet.
excuse me.
This is an application.
Rejected application,
Yes,
excuse
sir.
me. But
And do
those,
you think that your client could in fact have a liquor store built under these terms within 3 months?
Within 12 months,
within
yes.
12 months, certainly he could.
Well,
If you got drawn.
so we're, if he got drawn.
Right.
Correct, sure.
But the fact of the matter is, we have applicants who have made significant progress towards getting liquor stores built that are not going to take 12 months.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that's true or not. I'll take your word for it. I'm not going to argue that.
Yes, sir.
But again,
The ordinance is drawn is much more fair, isn't it?
It's
the
not,
ordinance, excuse me, say it again?
The ordinance, as the amended ordinance is drawn, is much more fair than an automatic suspension.
Well, the ordinance as drawn says what it says. And it says.
You're not answering my question, Mr. Cash.
Well, I don't know whether it's more fair or not. It depends on what evidence comes forward. If there's credible evidence coming forward, it probably is more fair. But that ignores the fact that the applications of those three individuals are rejected. I submit that the proper procedure would be to open it back up, do as you did before. By then you will have the amendment. And if there are those who can't meet the 12-month requirement, then you may have the hearing underneath the terms of the amendment. But the amendment does not apply to those who applied for the liquor license in 2022 or 2020, whatever the year was, that were approved July 11, 2022.
Okay.
and Mr. Schultz, that amendment is not fair to me or to other applicants. What you are doing is just favoring those three applicants. So it's not fair to me or any of these other guys who's willing to try it again, right? So you can open it up again.
I think it's fair to the people that have in fact invested time and money already, and beyond their abilities, they have in fact been unable to obtain a certificate of service,
We all
a
businessmen.
certificate of occupancy.
We all businessmen, right? Those three applicants or anybody else out there, right? So we make profit, loss, we make the deals all day long. It's,
Mr. Patel, you can't tell me that if you had in fact wanted to build a liquor store up on Highway 27 where the bowling alley is, and that man died, that you would have a certificate of occupancy today.
That's not what he's saying.
And you can't tell me that you wouldn't come before this council and say, beyond my control, even though I'm the best businessman in the whole wide world, beyond my control, I couldn't get a certificate of occupancy.
Well, then.
You know you would. don't you?
You're speculating what might happen.
Well,
Mr.
he's
Stark.
asking a hypothetical. I'm asking a
You're not
hypothetical.
asking a hypothetical. You're telling him what he would do.
Well, I'm asking him.
Well, ask him then. Don't
Is
tell
that
him.
true?
I wouldn't know because I wasn't chosen one.
But if you were, and if you were in fact in that position where the owner of the property died and you couldn't get the deed, you'd come before this council and ask them to be fair, wouldn't you?
I would before the with the 12 months runs out.
I don't have any other questions.
Again, and to sum up, whether it's fair or not, the ordinance says their applications are rejected. And what you're doing, if you amend it and apply it to these three, is you're giving them opportunities that other unpermitted or other citizens who don't currently have an application approved, you're not giving them the opportunity that you're giving these three individuals, again, whose application has been rejected.
They can apply it again. Everybody can. It should be the fair to everybody, not just three.
Thank you for hearing.
Anything else?
That's all. Thank you for hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak either in favor of or in opposition? Please come up, sir. Sir, if you would, state your full name.
Good evening. My name is Ashfaq Nancy.
Spell that last name for me, please, sir.
Nensey. Ms. City Manager, Mr. City Attorney, Council ladies, Council members. As Mr. Cash just mentioned and the other party mentioned, my thing is this. Last year when we applied for the liquor license, we had some mistakes on the application. We realized it, we made a mistake, we approached to correct the mistake, and we were denied the privilege to correct the mistakes. Okay? So now we were not given opportunity. We are all human beings. We all make mistakes. Only God is perfect. Okay? So now here my argument is this. As the city, as Mr. Attorney said, that we have to consider the person died and couldn't get the deed, and these things happen in this process. Since when a capitalistic country being sorry for somebody that happened? We are here, the city of Oglethorpe is here to make the money. It's been 1 year since the 3 licenses were approved. The city has lost the revenue. Why? What makes the city the right to lose the money for the citizens? We are here for the city, for the people of the citizens, the county. How can we lose money? We do business every day in and day out to make profit or loss, whatever. How can you reply to me and explain to me the loss that the city had for 1 year revenue? Who's responsible for that? I'm sorry. I think those applicants should be penalized and charged a yearly revenue loss for the city. That is my opinion, because I'm a businessman. I'm here to make money for the city and for the people, the convenience. It's for people to shop conveniently. And the thing is that, so now, we made mistake, we were not given the opportunity. So that is not right for me not to apply. We was not even put in the lottery because of my mistakes. The mistake that we did applying for the license, we was not in the lottery pocket, but we paid the dues for the application. So where is it fair for me to pay money and not be in the part of the pool at all? My other suggestion is this. Like on every corner there's a gas station. They sell alcohol and liquor. Alcohol and wine, sorry. Why can't we have only 3 applicants in the city to open up a liquor store? Why can't everybody apply for a liquor store, and why the city should not generate the revenue from that process? We are here, city, to make the money. Is that right or wrong, Mr. Attorney? everybody over here, some are volunteers, some donate their time, some get paid for it. The revenue comes in for the expenses of the city. Why can't we say, okay, you guys want a liquor license? Apply for it, let's go. We make the money on the application, we get the license fees, plus the revenues every year. We are business people. Why not make the benefit of it? May I hear something from you, Mr. Attorney?
The council basically decided that there would be 3 liquor stores in the city of Fort Oglethorpe.
But why just 3, Mr. Attorney? That's what I'm saying, though.
That's up to the council, sir.
But the council do the amendment on that and say, okay, now this is what happened. The city has lost 1 year of revenue in this process. Fine. Okay, we cut our losses. We're gonna apply, give everybody a license now. Open up a liquor store if you want to. And within 30 days, not even a year, I bet you I can do that in 30 days.
Not under the, no, you couldn't, because you gotta build a new building.
I might have,
couldn't do it.
I can put a wall between my store. I can make a separate entrance for that.
You could not do it.
I can make a.
Not with the regular, not with the outline that we have. There's no way. And, you know, beer's one thing, whiskey's another, to me. And these people are spending a lot of money opening a liquor store. A lot. And if you had one on every dang corner, I mean, I don't know a city. Actually, 3 is probably, for our population, is overexposed for liquor. I don't know a city that's got, I mean, maybe Atlanta, but hell, they're going to be 10 miles apart.
The population, we got tourists over here coming to Oglethorpe every year. How many tourists come in this city over here?
It was our decision to do, and that's what we did.
I'm putting my thought in there. I'm trying to articulate. See, the thing is this, by me talking to y'all today is just to put something on the table where y'all can think for the future. It's not that I'm telling you to do what I'm telling you to know. It's just that I'm intriguing your mind that how do you tweak it. We are in a business over here. We are generating money for the city. It pays the bills. We need the money to run the city. Everybody is not volunteer over here. We get paid for it. You know, so that is my take on that.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak either in favor of or in opposition of ordinance number 2023-26 as amended August 28, 2023? Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. Item number 2 in our public hearing tonight is a public hearing for ordinance number 2023-28. Mr. Stoltz.
Ordinance number 2023-28, be it ordained by the mayor and council for the city of Fort Oglethorpe, a zoning amendment ordinance for tax parcel number 000-3D046000B, South Cedar Lane, Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia 30742, requested by the owner, Jackie Miller, so as to amend the zoning of said property from an R1 zoning to a C2 zoning, to amend the official zoning map for the city of Fort Oglethorpe, to repeal conflicting ordinances and other related purposes. Is there anyone that would like to speak either in favor of or in opposition of this zoning ordinance? Yes, sir. If you would go up to the podium and state your full name for me, please.
My name is John Kleben. I bought the...
I'm sorry, sir.
John Kleben, K-L-E-B-A-N.
K-L-E-B-A-N.
B-A-N.
Thank you.
Sure. I bought the property from Jackie Miller earlier last week. There's actually 2 sites. There's one at 1599 Battlefield Parkway, and then this site is directly behind it. And the zoning ordinance was requested so that I could build a restaurant on that site and have adequate parking for my customers.
Are you gonna own the lot next to it? The building you're tearing down?
The building that we're tearing down, yes, that's the one.
That's where the restrooms go.
Yes.
What about the lot, was that lot next to it, the one that's empty, is that part of yours?
That's part of mine.
Okay.
Yes.
And you're gonna use the back for parking?
I'm gonna, the back part for parking, yes.
Okay.
So, what questions can I answer?
Get it built?
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak either in favor of or in opposition of this zoning ordinance? Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. That concludes our public hearing for tonight. This time we will call our regularly scheduled council meeting to order. Mr. Stoltz, if you would, please call the roll.
Mayor Earl Gray?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Derek Rogers?
Here.
Councilman Jim Childs?
Here.
Council Lady Rhonda James?
Here.
Councilman Craig Crawford?
Here.
Council Lady Paula Stinnett?
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. Let the record show we do have a quorum for tonight's meeting. Next item is our invocation and our pledge. Ms. James, if you would, please do the invocation. Ms. Childs, leads the pledge, please.
Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for giving us another day so we can be here. As we remember today as 9/11, we pray that you be with those families that lost loved ones that day, that we will never forget. Lord, we thank you for this council. We ask that you be with all of us as we make decisions for this city. We pray for all those in the Fort Oglethorpe, all the citizens. We pray for the safety, especially for our police department. We ask all these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time we'll set our agenda for tonight's meeting. Ms. Hume, do you have any modifications to the agenda?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
A second?
Second.
Motion, Ms. Childs, second by Ms. James. Any discussions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Next item on the agenda is the minutes from our previous council meeting. If members of council have had an opportunity to review the minutes from our August the 28th meeting, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Childs, second by Mr. Rogers. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Next item on the agenda is appearances. David Mitchell.
There's more information in this one.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name is David Mitchell, and I have the honor of addressing you tonight. I thank you for the time in advance. Thank you. I would like to tell you a little bit about our company, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about the property on Cloud Spring and what our intentions are, and really for the purpose of my appearance as well. It involves a public financing called TEFRA, which is a tax-free municipal bond financing to provide essential housing and to generate business activity for the city of Fort Oglethorpe. I'm going to use this presentation, but feel free to interrupt or ask questions. And I'm going to actually move around a little bit on it. Good Homes is in the business of creating what I call essential, obtainable, market rate housing. We, for the most part, buy obsolete hospitality assets, hotels, and senior housing that have become obsolete or need investment. And we turn those into very robust, very vibrant multifamily communities throughout the United States. Probably as far north as Erie, Pennsylvania, and as far south as Corpus Christi, Texas. Myself and my partners have been doing this for a few decades. We have a long track record. I'll come into that track record in a bit. But what we have found is that this housing is dramatically needed. It's needed really for the workforce, and that workforce is challenged to find housing here and in most places. Our workforce makes too much money for government-assisted housing and not enough for traditional garden-style apartments. The product that we build is mostly studios and one-bedrooms, in some cases 2 bedrooms. And we are very focused in this geography to build 1,000 units. The purchase that will happen on October 31 of, I guess you know it as the Cloud Springs Lodge, of the property on Cloud Spring, was originally contracted for, going back many, many months now. I think it was contracted, let's see, just check the facts here. It was contracted in August of 2021, and is conditioned upon receiving a final certificate of occupancy. Most of the properties that we buy and convert, we perform the construction and we perform the renovation. This is somewhat of a one-off for us. We like this area. We like the city of Fort Oglethorpe and the geography. And this hopefully will be the first property of many that we hope to have under the Good Homes flag. So Good Homes, as I mentioned before, is in the business of taking these hospitality properties and converting them. If we built new properties, we could not afford to make available the rents that we have. And on a nationwide basis, that's somewhere between $800 and $1,000 a month, because construction prices are very high. And Mr. Stoltz mentioned supply chain issues, which are challenging and driving construction prices even higher. And so we have chosen to really take hotels and really reinforce the amenity offerings. And I'm going to go through some of those amenities, and then I'm going to come back to the 2 pages that are specific to this property. So with your permission, I would like to go and just tell you about what our brand standards are, which is really on the 4th or 5th page. Each community has a pool, has a fitness center, outdoor grilling areas. We like to offer tenant storage. It's one of the most requested amenities. Laundry facilities, abundant parking, and co-working space. And you'll see a little bit about that. We build a kitchen inside the apartment. We design our units so they're very, very functional, and they're using the premium materials. And I'll show you some renderings of what that looks like. If you go to the next page, this is a studio bedroom apartment. And what we find, we're not really in the business of transitional leases. All our leases are 1-year leases. And what we find is that 50% of the units will be furnished and 50% will be unfurnished. Some people are here for a year, some people are here for a decade. But this is a traveling nurse, this is somebody from your law enforcement, this is somebody who's in the contracting business, this could be a student, and what they really need is a place which is attainable in price, that's well designed, and which is safe. The next slide is a 1-bedroom, which is a separate designated bedroom, closed bedroom area, living room area, and a dining area. So this is a larger unit, sometimes for families, sometimes somebody who is selling a home and would like to pare down their expenses. If this is somebody who's an executive, maybe working here or at Costco or in the health system. Each one of our, we see the bike storage, which is the next slide. Each one of our facilities has bike storage. More and more people are using bike transportation. What we find is our tenant that makes between $35,000 and $100,000 a year spends 14% of their gross adjusted income on transportation, going to and from work. And one of the reasons that we focus on hotel properties is the hotel properties, in most cases, are better situated to where the employment is than the other traditional multifamily. And what we find is that the location becomes a big deciding factor of where people live. The following slide is locker storage and tenant storage. This is our most requested amenity. And so we provide a storage unit, 4 foot by 10 foot, 10 foot high, 4 by 4. Somebody could have their tools, somebody could put a canoe in there, somebody could put their winter clothes or swap them for their summer clothes. And this is a very valuable amenity to and most requested of our tenants. The following slide is co-working. And co-working could be somebody who's working as a student, wants to do their paper, could be somebody who's a solopreneur working out of their laptop. At some point in my life, I was in the co-working business, and so we build these very beautiful spaces with industrial Wi-Fi and or a panoply of office equipment, and so they could actually work out of the space, meet here, or just read a book. This property will also have a tenant lounge and a game room. A little bit about us. We have about 15 years of development experience working together, about $10 billion of development experience. 50% of that is ground up development. The other 50% is really this business, is taking hotel properties and renovating them and into multifamily, and that's mostly in New York and Las Vegas and South Florida and Detroit. And what we have found is that these are properties that we like to keep, we don't sell. These are properties that we have many, many decades of history converting. This is the first time that we're doing it with a brand name, and we hope to build this brand, not for our tenants, so that Good Homes actually means something, but also for the municipal partners that we like to work with. And some of our properties are in the case of Fayetteville, North Carolina, where we have 2 properties. We are beginning to build out a universe, and so in this Fort Oglethorpe geographical area, we would like to have 500 to 1,000 units. In Fayetteville, we already have 600 units, and next year we'll probably have 1,000 units. We focus really on 5 drivers of employment: military, large educational campuses, large medical campuses, manufacturing, distribution, and state capitals. And that's really where our tenant works, and that's really where the housing is most needed. We're at our universe is about 100 metropolitan areas, and in-house at Good Homes, we have our own origination group of 3 people who focus on site selection. We have our own construction group in-house, and I invite anybody who wants to come visit us to come see what we're doing. I'd like to talk specifically about this property on Cloud Spring Road. And if you go to, I'm sorry for jumping around, if you go to the property overview. So this property, I know has been there for quite some time, and when we did our initial research, I know that it has its own history. We are hoping to take this property, as I said before, convert it into a very vibrant multifamily community. We think that it is well situated. As you know, there are 2 large industrial parks, one almost across the street and then one about a mile away, that when we've spoken to the owners of those parks, they were very welcoming of the fact that there would be housing very close to where these industrial parks are. The property itself will have 104 units. 71 will be the studios that I showed you the renderings of. 31 will be of the one-bedrooms. And the way that we finance our projects is through a issuance of tax-exempt municipal bonds. And this is done through the Public Finance Authority of the state of Wisconsin. The bonds are traditional municipal bonds. It has no payment obligation or recourse to the city of Fort Oglethorpe. The property is actually owned by a not-for-profit, a 501c3, and the not-for-profit is called the Community Finance Corporation. They've done about $1 billion of this issuance of these types of municipal bonds. Again, they're the obligor, obligee, and so this is owned by a 501c3 for the sole purpose of issuing these municipal bonds. This property is a taxpayer, will remain a taxpayer. The purpose of the 501c3 owning it, again, is to access the municipal finance market. And as part of that, it does have an income restriction on 40% of the units will be offered at 60% of AMI. And we, Good Homes, are the developer. We're also the co-manager of the project. Our target for the issuance of the bonds and closing, as I said, is the end of October, early November. What I'm here today to do is to tell you a little bit about why this bond offering requires, in essence, your approval, because it's not really a bond offering of the city of Fort Oglethorpe. Again, there is no recourse to the city of Fort Oglethorpe or Catoosa County or the state of Georgia. What is required is that the federal government, under the federal tax law, requires what's called a TEFRA hearing. And a TEFRA hearing basically, I mean, in simple terms, is a recognition that this property is in your municipality, is being financed through the issuance of municipal bonds. And the state of Wisconsin, which is the home state for the Public Finance Authority, requires, in essence, you to recognize that in a public hearing, so the public can comment and the public knows about it. And further asks, doesn't make a requirement, that you appoint an advisory board member from your community to be part of this municipal bond offering. And so it's more that you recognize that this project's being financed through municipal bonds, not that you are taking on the obligation, again, of the payment. What this does, what the Public Finance Authority and the CFA, the Community Finance Authority, are set up to do as not-for-profit, is lessening the burdens of government. So this project on Cloud Spring basically offers housing which is missing in your housing algorithm. You know, when I was here in 21 and then again in 22, I mean, I've been here 8 times, I've visited other comparable housing, and I did not see housing that was addressed in this format. And so you've got very high-priced housing, which I visited, and you've got other housing which is lower priced than this, but it requires an income restriction. And I did not see this. So this is a kind of a missing piece of it, and also because of the growth that you're going through, this housing, I believe, and certainly the Community Finance Authority believes, that it is needed and could help. And so that is really the purpose of me coming here today, to tell you a little bit about Good Homes, tell you what the building and the community will look like on Cloud Spring, and to tell you a little bit about the TEFRA hearing which we hope will be in a few weeks. And basically, the TEFRA hearing is, and Mr. Stoltz can tell you a little more about it, is a resolution that would be put in your format, that you recognize that this financing is being done on a property in your municipality. So I know it's a lot of content, and I thank you for your patience. So, any questions?
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
the presentation. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell.
Next item on the agenda is ordinances. Item number 1, under ordinances, fourth and final reading of ordinance number 2023-26. Mr. Stoltz.
Ordinance number 2023-26, amended August 28, 2023. It is hereby ordained by the governing authority of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, an ordinance to amend the code of the city of Fort Oglethorpe, Chapter 6, Alcohol, Article 2, Division 6, Package Sales of distilled alcoholic beverages by adding a definition for construction in Section 6.135 and by providing a procedure for a hearing and the revocation of applicants' applications under Section 6.143 to regulate the grant, refusal, suspension, or regulation of applications to sell or dispense packaged distilled alcoholic beverages in the city of Fort Oglethorpe, to provide for provisions therein as authorized by state law, to provide for modification, to provide for severability, to repeal conflicting ordinances or parts thereof, to provide for an adoption effective date, and for all other purposes allowed by law. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. Have a motion to vote on ordinance number 2023-26.
Motion?
Second, sir.
Motion by Mr. Childs, second by Ms. Stinnett. Is there any discussion? Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Mr. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Ms. James?
Yes.
Ms. Stinnett?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous. Ms. Hewin, to proceed with this thing as quick as we can you go ahead and set a hearing date?
Yes, Mayor and Council, the special called meeting to hold the hearings for the 3 lottery winners will be held on Monday, September 18th at 6 p.m.
Monday, September the 18th at 6 p.m. Thank you, Ms. Hewin. Item number 2, third and final reading of ordinance number 2023-27. Ms. Stoltz.
Ordinance number 2023-27, be it ordained by the mayor and council for the city of Fort Oglethorpe, a zoning amendment ordinance for tax parcel number 003A09600A, Lot 2, Lafayette Road, Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia 30742, requested by the owner J. Chadalahari, so as to amend the zoning of said property from a C2 to a C2, allowing for beer, wine, and packaged distilled spirit sales in Lafayette Road Overlay District, to amend the official zoning map for the city of Fort Oglethorpe, to repeal conflicting ordinances and other related purposes. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. Have a motion and a second to vote on ordinance number 2023-27.
Mayor, since we're having a meeting next Monday, can we not table this till after the hearing?
Is that a motion, Mr. Childs?
That's a motion.
Mr. Childs made a motion to table this to a special called meeting on September the 8th. Do I have a second?
September 18th.
18th, I'm sorry. Second by Mr. Crawford. Is there any discussion? Ms. Stinnett?
Yes.
Ms. James?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Childs?
Yes.
Ordinance number 2023-27 will be tabled and will be voted on at a special called meeting on Monday, September the 18th. I keep wanting to get that. My anniversary is 17th. That's why I got it all confused. At 7 o'clock.
6 o'clock. 6 o'clock.
The hearing is at 6 o'clock. Special called meeting will be at 7 o'clock.
Two different matters.
It's two different things. One of them is a special called council meeting, one of them is a hearing. Item number 3, first reading of ordinance number 2023-26. Mr. Stoltz.
26?
28, I'm sorry.
28. Ordinance number 2023-28, be it ordained by the mayor and council for the city of Fort Oglethorpe, a zoning amendment ordinance for tax parcel number 003D04600B, South Cedar Lane, Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia 30742, requested by the owner Jackie Miller, so as to amend the zoning of said property from R1 zoning to C2 zoning, to amend the official zoning map for the city of Fort Oglethorpe, to repeal conflicting ordinances and other related purposes. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. Item number 4 under ordinances is the first reading of ordinance number 2023-29. Mr. Stoltz.
Ordinance number 2023-29. It is hereby ordained by the mayor and council of the city of Fort Oglethorpe an ordinance to amend the Fort Oglethorpe Code of Ordinances, Part 2, Chapter 90, Section 66, speed zones so as to amend and establish speed zones within the city limits of Fort Oglethorpe, to provide for the provisions therein as authorized by state law, to provide for modification, to provide for severability, to repeal conflicting ordinances or parts thereof, to provide for an adoption effective date, and for all other purposes allowed by law.
Thank you, Mr. Stoltz. Next item on the agenda is new business. Item number 1 under new business, recommendation to approve an intergovernmental agreement with Walker County, Georgia and its municipalities for the distribution of proceeds generated by the 2023 Transportation Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax Referendum. Ms. Hughes.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Walker County, Georgia, and the municipalities in it, of which Fort Oglethorpe is one, currently receive distributions of 1% of T-SPLOS proceeds. These proceeds are used to fund capital transportation projects in the county and its municipalities. The current T-SPLOS cycle in Walker County will expire in 2024, and Walker County seeks to place a referendum on the ballot for November 7th, 2023, for that election regarding the imposition of that 1% sales tax for the capital transportation projects for the period of April 1st, 2024 through March 31st, 2029. If the referendum is approved by a majority of voters, this intergovernmental agreement would go into effect at that time. And under this agreement, the city of Fort Oglethorpe would receive 0.4% of that 1%.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes. I have a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Ms. James, second by Mr. Rogers. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Item number 2, recommendation to renew annual license agreement with E-File. Ms. Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The City of Fort Oglethorpe Police Department uses the e-file cabinet system for its document storage and management, and this system allows us to securely store and disseminate criminal case files, photos, videos, to the state court and to the superior courts as well. It also aids in the assistance of fulfilling open records requests. This agreement is necessary to have that secure storage and file exchange between all of these agencies, and it also allows the department to operate a lot more efficiently with everything in that e-file cabinet. If approved, this would be $5,050 coming out of the general fund.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes. I have a motion to approve.
Motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Childs, second by Mr. Crawford. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Item number 3, recommendation to purchase a hydraulic breaker attachment tool. Ms. Hughes.
The Public Works and Public Utilities Department have a need for a hydraulic breaker, also known as a rock hammer, for the city's mini excavator. That would be purchased from Bobcat of Chattanooga in the amount of $9,945. This tool will allow us to do some demo of concrete and asphalt a lot more easily. It'll enhance efficiency of jobs where we're either patching roads or fixing underground utilities. If approved, this would come out of both the general and water and sewer funds, and it would be purchased through Sourcewell, a government cooperative of which we are a member, that allows us to buy off of competitively bid contracts.
Thank you, Ms. Hume. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Rogers, second by Mr. Childs. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Item number 4, recommendation to award an engineering service contract for the Historic District Infrastructure Rehabilitation Project. Ms. Hugh.
Thank you. As we've talked about for some time, we have those warehouses that we purchased a couple of years ago, and those water lines, the infrastructure around them are in need of replacement. We would like to pursue Appalachian Regional Commission grants to complete that project, as it will be a lengthy process, and we'd like to have some federal funding to do that. But in order to submit an application, we actually have to have an engineer complete a preliminary engineering report. So the recommendation before you today is to award to CTI in an amount not to exceed $20,000 the ability to complete this preliminary engineering report. That will give us the opportunity to enter this grant process, and if we are selected in the grant process, that engineer would then attach to that project for the duration. So it's a little bit confusing, but this is just for that first step to allow us to apply for those federal funds. And if we were approved, we could receive up to $1 million from the ARC with a 50% match from the city. So that would, we're recommending that tonight in that not to exceed amount of $20,000, and it would be coming out of ARPA funding.
Thank you, Ms. Hume. I have a motion to approve.
Motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Childs, second by Mr. Crawford. Any discussion?
$1 million, huh?
For the ARC funding, yes, sir.
Good. Get it.
Phil's excited about it. But
Has CTI done a little bit of work on this already?
no, they have not. That was part of the process, is that you actually have to do an open RFP process, or a request for qualification, so everybody has to come in blind. You have to submit, and you can't have talked to them about it beforehand.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Next item on the agenda, City Manager's Report. Ms. Hugh.
Thank you. Labor Day at the Post was last Monday, and it was a wonderful day. I just want to say thank you to all the amazing staff, those who helped before Labor Day at the Post, those who helped during Labor Day at the Post, those who helped after Labor Day at the Post. It was an all-hands-on-deck effort. It was so much fun to see everybody come out and enjoy Barnhart Circle. It was a really exciting day, and Taylor Hutwagner, who is at a training right now, our economic development director, she and I actually had a phone call on our way home that night. We were like, we didn't have really any glitches. It was just that good of a day. We were too afraid to say it out loud. But I can't thank the public enough for coming out and enjoying it. It was a wonderful day, and we really look forward to doing it again next year. We had about 5,500 people come out that day. We had over 80 vendors, vendors running out of food, running out of things to sell. So we can't wait to do it again next year. We appreciate everyone's support, and we're very grateful to all the bands who performed as well. And then just a reminder that our farmers market will be happening until October the 1st. At Stable 41 from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Then after that, we have one event in October, our Forttoberfest on October the 7th, Rhonda, Forttoberfest. And our Christmas parade application for our Christmas parade and market is up on the website. So if you're interested in having a float in the city's Christmas parade, please come out and put an application in. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Ms. Hume. Next item, Mayor and Council comments. I think Ms. Hume thanked all of our employees, but I'd like to thank the public, the people that turned out. You know, we couldn't have had a success if it hadn't been for y'all. Used to be the biggest event in Catoosa County. Kind of went idle for about 6 years, and we thought it was time to bring it back, and evidently the public thought the same thing, because it was a tremendous success. So thank y'all to everybody that came. Those that didn't come, you need to make sure you come next year. It's going to be a little bigger and a little better. And also remember the date, 9/11. You know, this was a tragic day for this country. So, if you hadn't already, say a little prayer for those that were lost. Mr. Child.
I just ditto to Miss Yoon and her staff. It was a great Labor Day. I think I'll be performing next year.
Awesome.
No, I'm kidding. I'm
Problem
kidding.
solved.
But ditto, and ditto to the 911 too. They need your prayers. That's it, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Child. Mr. Crawford.
Yeah, I mean, just to echo everybody's on the Labor Day at the post, it was a great event. I know I probably couldn't walk much on Tuesday afterwards because of being on my feet all day. It was a good September event. It was great entertainment. Proud of our staff, the way they work together, different departments, to get together, and for the citizens that live around there, the residents, it was pretty impressive how they had it packed up the next day, and you couldn't tell that we even had a big event like that. So good work by our staff. Jeff, I know he worked on that and getting the welcome center, and I know Miss Hune was very into all that and very on edge through that, but she pulled it off. She did a great job on all that, and we're very proud of you on that. And just like you said, just remember the date and just say a prayer for the ones that were lost, and also just thank a first responder, because I know this is our annual time of really remembering the first responders and how important they are, especially in our area. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Crawford. Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, same thanks to the city staff. I think Phil had back problems by the end of the day. I saw him walking around. If you walked into Chief Sewell's trailer, it looked like a beautiful mind in there. He had so much stuff written and was keeping track of everything. And Molly, you did a great job. Jeff was, I'm just pointing out the folks that are here today, but everybody did an incredible job. I appreciate it. And it was a great event. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Ms. James.
Well, like everybody said, thank you. And I want to say that it captured our family-friendly events that we have. And it was, everybody brought their family out. And I just sat back and watched, and it was kids having fun, adults having fun. So we want to stay on that path of family-friendly for us. So have a great day that day.
Thank you, Ms. James. Ms. Stinnett.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Labor Day at the Post, what else can I say? It was momentous, and it is definitely a great send-off to future events that we will have for family-friendly Fort Oglethorpe. Honor Park, a tribute to those who serve. Saturday was a big work day for the Veteran Citizen Council. It was a great success, beautiful day, but it ended with a little tweak. Unfortunate event occurred and medical staff needed, and I ended up at the park by myself trying to load up all the materials. Chief Sewell, I want to send out a big thank you. Officer Pritchett came by, and I was almost in tears, and I said, "Can you help a damsel in distress?" He said, "Yes, ma'am," jumped out of his car and lifted a lawnmower into the back of my truck. Thank you to him, because I could not have done it without him. Patriot Day today, and City of Chattanooga boasted a wonderful big parade featuring Captain Larry Taylor, recipient of the Medal of Honor. The Fort Oglethorpe Veteran and Citizen Council had a big float in the parade and were noticed by the parade reviewers. So once again, your Fort Oglethorpe Veteran and Citizen Council representing the city of Fort Oglethorpe and making things happen. Thank you for all the first responders, not just 9/11, but every day. You're always rescuing damsels in distress. Thanks, Chief. Sir.
Thank you, Ms. Stinnett. Next item on the agenda is executive session. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session, discuss real estate and litigation.
So moved, sir.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Stinnett, second by Ms. James. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
This council is in executive session. Come out of executive session.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Crawford, second by Ms. Stinnett. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
This council is out of executive session. In executive session, we discussed real estate and litigation. Final item is adjournment. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Crawford, second by Mr. Rogers. All in favor say aye.
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 This meeting is adjourned.
What was